Hey guys, redch0psticks here. Let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a manga series that spawned a huge franchise including multiple spin-off mangas, anime series, and a trading card game, and numerous video games. Released from Japan from North America by 4Kids Entertainment in 2001, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was debuted. It's hard to say if anyone could predict how fast Yu-Gi-Oh! Became popular over here in America. Not only did the anime do great, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Can also be called a successful card game, taking place with Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. Oh, and of course being successful, it decided to become a video game. In today's video game, we're looking at what is called the worst Yu-Gi-Oh! Game of all time. I am of course talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. Released in 1999 in Japan, then over in America in 2002, Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories was made for PlayStation and was the first video game console over here in America.
Now, Forbidden Memory has been called the worst game among fans, to which I always thought it belonged to Sacred Cards because it always said my Blue Eyes White Dragon can be defeated by a Karibo. Just because it happens to be a shadow monster, my dragon's a lot! Anyway, we're here to talk about Forbidden Memory. Is it as bad as we say it is? Probably, but I'm optimistic, so let's find out.
You play as Prince Adam, even though you pick his own name. And actually, by the time this game came out in the anime, we didn't even know his name yet. In fact, now that I think about it, I think we just started double dueling in Duelist Kingdom when this game came out. Actually, now that I think about it, this game is non-canon with the series because it says so on the back. I'm getting off topic. Anyway, as a prince, you try to sneak out to the dueling ground, and you're stopped by this priest. Of course, you escape, and finally the game starts.
And now I do the first thing I do in all Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. I look at my deck. How do you do that? It's not start. It's not select. It's not the shoulder buttons. Circle, triangle, no. Well, it can't be X, so... Square?
No! I just went back to the priest that tried to stop me! Man, that must have been an awkward moment for them.
Young prince, where do you think you're going at this hour? I'm heading to the dueling grounds where the real fun is. Farewell! No, young prince, it is forbidden! Come back here! I'm back. Well, welcome back! This is awkward, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, this does start our very first duel, and
this is about as far as I'm going to go into story. It's not that I didn't get far, I got about halfway through, but in all honesty, it's not that important.
the story itself is really simple. You are the hero, this is the villain, and the fate of the world is determined by a card game. It's the same thing in the anime. Oh sure, they tried adding all sorts of plot points, but we were more focused on dueling. Story part was somewhere else in our mind. Since dueling is the main focus of the game, let's talk about that. If you don't know the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh, here are the basics. Each player starts out with 8,000 life points, and you battle using monster cards. Each card has 2 numbers on the bottom and 2 modes with them. The first one is attack points, the second is defense. The highest number wins, and the first player to lose all 8,000 life points loses. That's the basics of the game. There are other things to mention like magic cards and trap cards, but for the most part, that's what you need to focus on. And in this game, they do follow those rules. But here's the thing. This game is known for using prototype rules that were originally being considered for the card game when it was first being transferred over for the manga. And it's quite confusing. First off, your deck must be made with 40 cards, no more, no less. And your deck will be completely random. It's all determined by the name that you put in your character, and this bothers me so much.
Here's the thing, you play as a prince. You are high society. People bow down to your presence when you walk upon them. You should be rich. With that said, why does my deck suck?
Your deck will be made out of weak cards, and if you're lucky, you'll get a card with more than 1,000 attack points. It feels like someone just took a handful of cards and just shoved them to me and say, hey, here's your deck. Now I know what you're saying while you're looking at my deck. Chopsticks, this deck doesn't look that bad, it looks pretty good. This is me getting lucky. This is like picking up 5 packs of the original Yu-Gi-Oh cards, opening them, and find that all 5 rare cards in those packs happen to be all 5 pieces of Exodia. That is super lucky. I just got regular lucky, but you get my point. The first thing you notice is that monster cards are monster cards. Well, what else could they be? You see, in the card game there are 2 types of monster cards, normal and effect. Effect monsters are considerably much weaker for the most part, but they have a special effect that makes up for the weak power. In this game, every monster is just a normal monster card, which is both good and bad. It's good because there's less risk involved when attacking an opponent's monster. The only thing you have to worry about is a high defense power. However, it's bad because many cards lose their uniqueness and purpose of adding to a deck. The Man-Eater bug is a good example. In the card game, this card can destroy one monster on the field when it's flipped. In Forbidden Memory, it's just a normal bug-type monster. There's not a whole lot of reason to add this card into your deck. And this happens to many other monster cards as well, such as Karibo, the Magician of Faith, the Mask of Darkness, and several other good cards. Magic cards have also changed as well. Field cards and healing cards still work the same, but equipment cards have a major difference. The cards only work based on the picture of the card, not the type of monster, and the card only gives a 500 boost. During the duels, you can only place one card on the field, which means you have to plan carefully before you end your turn, and when battling you can press either X or square. X would just do a very quick battle, but square will give you a 3D battle of the monster cards, but this takes a long time to get to. The last thing in duels is that when you press the up directional pad in your hand, you start a chain, which can get you past using one card at a time with equipment cards, and this is also the main focus of the duels: fusions. In the card game, you need the right magic card and the right monsters to use, but here in this game you can fuse any monster to create pretty much any monster you want to. It doesn't have to be just a fusion type monster. By doing a chain with the cards in your hand, the monsters will fuse and will be placed on the field. If the fuse works, you get a new monster. If it doesn't, you lose the card and you end up with the last card that was on the chain.
This doesn't seem to be bad at first with all the fusions, but when you get down to all the rules they have, oh boy, do they have rules.
First off, keep an eye on your monster's attack points. Certain monsters can be made, but they have to meet the right attack points. For example, fusing a warrior monster with a zombie monster can create the zombie warrior with 1200 attack points. But if one of the cards has over 1200 points, then you can create the armored zombie, a much stronger zombie card. Lots of cards follow this rule, but it's easy to figure out. Second, type and species are not the same thing. Many cards have a certain type, but they can also still be counted as a different species. Certain cards may be called a certain type, but if they have a humanoid shape, then they're humanoid. Warrior cards are not always humans, and beast warriors may not always count as beast. This can be odd at times because you really need to think what the game is going to consider what when you fuse monsters. The last thing to keep in mind with fusions is this: keep an eye on the sex of your monster. Now hold on, hear me out. I will admit it's quite odd when fusing monsters, but it's true. Male cards and female cards can create certain types of monsters. A male warrior card and a female warrior card combined with a rock type monster can create two different monsters. And sometimes female monsters are much stronger than the males for the most part.
So is that all Forbidden Memory did? Oh no. There's one more thing they did. A solar system alignment. And it's so dumb.
I will never understand why so many Yu-Gi-Oh games seem to always add an extra rule in battling. I guess it makes the game more unique, but it just seems more like trouble rather than helping. Like adding a planetary system, or some stupid elemental system that says my dragon can... Sorry, not talking about that game, I'm talking about this one. When you summon a monster, you have to pick one planet from each of the cards that it's alignment with. There are two circle of alignments that you can pick from. The first one has the Sun, the Moon, Venus, and Mercury. The second has Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto...
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Right, that planet. Then Pluto, and then Neptune. When the card has an alignment that matches this pattern, it gets a 500 boost. Let's say Monster A is powered by the Sun and is attacking Monster B that's powered by the Moon. Monster A would get the attack boost. In the end, it's just really confusing and really doesn't add anything to the duel. The extra boost rarely helps out, and it's really hard to remember what symbols count what without reaching for the manual every single time.
So that's how you do in Forbidden Memories. Yes, it's completely complicated and unnecessary, but it's interesting.
Duels go really quickly, especially if you're winning, and the fusions kinda make it fun to see what you can create, and once you get the right combo, you'll build your deck around it. Yes, the solar system is tacked on, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. The graphic and the music in this game is not that bad as well. The music is fast-paced and fits well with dueling. The graphics are nice too. The cards look exactly like the cards from the real game. And the characters look good too. The backgrounds are a little bit dull, but not that bad at times. Even the graphics in the 3D battle, while not the best, it's interesting to see how the developers think how monsters would look and attack. At the end of the duel, you'll get several things in the end: a grade, some star chips, and a random card. The grade determines how many star chips and what card you get. The grade is determined by time and the number of cards you use and the number of attack points you have, and honestly a lot of stuff that I really didn't bother looking at. The card is also really random. At first you think you'll get cards that will fit the stereotype decks that fit with the duelist. For example, Joey will give warriors and Taya will give fairies. But anyone can give any card. You can get a zombie from Taya or pyro monsters from Kaiba. So doing some person over and over again just to get one type of card doesn't work. Finally, you have star chips.
The idea of using star chips is basically to trade for cards, so you're thinking there's some sort of currency and you can just go right down to the card shop and buy some. But here's the thing. Come here. No, come here, it's okay. Here's the thing. The card shop doesn't sell cards. I repeat, the card shop doesn't sell cards!
This still gets to me. How can you open a card shop and not sell cards? You have a few packs right behind you. What are they, prop items to fool people to come visit your store? Just sell me one pack. I guarantee anything would be a great addition to my deck, because my deck sucks! Oh, but get this. You can't buy cards at the card shop, but you can build your deck. How are you still in business? It's like going to McDonald's and find out that they don't sell hamburgers, but they still want to know if you want a small, medium, or large meal with that. So where do the star chips come in? Well, on the menu screen in Passwords, you can use a code on the bottom left hand of cards to add to your deck. You'll trade the chips for the cards, but you only get one copy of the card.
So why am I dueling for just one card when I can just add all my cards and dominate this game? Except this game came out in 2001, which means a lot of cards didn't exist at the time, which means I gotta do some research. Okay, so I went to Wikipedia and I found a list of cards that I can use and I thought I'd try them out. So I'm going to start off with, yes, the Blue Eyes White Dragon, the most powerful monster in the game at the time. And it's going into my deck.
Yes, with this dragon, I will be unstoppable. I will own the most powerful dragon in the game, and it's only going to cost me 999,999 star chips. It cost me that much for one card! One card! And keep in mind, you only get 5 star chips max at duels, and that's assuming you get a perfect score every time you duel.
Although, to be fair, I did go for the most powerful monster in the game, so maybe I should try something a bit lower. Let's see here. How much is Dark Magician? Okay, how much is Summon Skull? Red Eyes Black Dragon. Guy the Fierce Knight? Cursed Dragon. How much is Cursed Dragon? Okay, I'm still aiming too high. How much is Great White? Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress #1? Time Wizard. How much is Time Wizard? This would be an ordinary monster. Just an ordinary spellcaster. No special ability. Oh, what the hell? Okay, you know what? I think this calls for a test. I'm going to look through this entire deck of cards. The first weak monster that I come across, I'm going to try. Okay, Forbidden Memory, I'm going to try a little game here. Tell me, how much is Monster Egg? This is an ordinary weak monster card. 600 attack points, 900 defense points. How much could this card possibly cost?
Okay, so this does not happen with every single card. Not every single one costs as much, but it's still pretty high for many cards. The prices on many cards are just extraordinarily high for even one monster. In fact, I found one cheap monster and he's only worth 10 star chips, and that's Karibo. But what's the point? And even if you get enough star chips to buy one monster card, that's it. The code becomes invalid and you can't buy any more monsters of the same type, so you can't make an entire deck based on 40 cards of the same monster. Just to get a simple Blue Eyes White Dragon or the Dark Magician card, you need to duel over 200,000 times. And that's assuming you get 5 star chips with each duel.
I mean, do they really expect me to duel for that long? I mean, who has that much time to get that many star chips? I mean, I have a life, for Pete's sakes. No, seriously, I do. Okay, you can stop laughing, it's not that funny.
It's also kinda hard to figure out what card's gonna cost what. At first I thought it was strong monsters, which would make sense, but several cards proved that wrong. And then I thought it was high defense power, which would make sense, but again I was proven wrong there. So then I thought maybe it's popularity, like the Blue Eyes White Dragon and the Dark Magician could cost a lot because it's popular. But once again, several cards that no one's probably ever heard of are just as much. Also, this proves to be really pointless. By the time you gain enough star chips to pay for one of these cards, you will have plenty of cards and enough fusion type combos to work with. There are several ways around this with 2 memory cards, but honestly I could really care less.
So that was Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memory. Is it really that bad? Yes, but it was kind of fun at times. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like using Karibo.
At first this game looks like it's going to be weak. The rules are strict and annoying at times, the solar system seems pointless, and the story's really not that interesting. But at the same time, I did enjoy several things. The music was catchy at certain times, the graphics were still good, and I had to admit, figuring out the combos with the cards was kind of fun at times.
I'm not going to say that I would recommend this to anyone, especially hardcore fans. But at the same time, I'm not going to say stay away from it. I'd say pick it up for yourself and see how you feel. You might be surprised. But all in all, it's not that bad. It's bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not that bad. Well, that's all I'm going to say about this one. I'm redch0psticks, and despite how I feel about Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules now, I'm so glad we didn't get these.
There's no backing down. The heart of the cards is where magic is found. We played this game before, but never quite this